Hello, everybody. How are you? I'm very excited to be talking about this topic because it's often on my mind, and that's how much are you worshiping the non physical? Do you see yourself different than? Do you see yourself less than? Do you put non physical on a pedestal sometimes, and how much? So, we're going to be talking about all of those things in today's video. And towards the end, we're going to sit a little bit in truth of all of this so you can honestly assess, not just by intellectually hearing me speak over here, but also to sit and feel and be honest with yourself. Before we go there, for everybody who is new, welcome. My name is Kosta, and I am an intuitive speaker and writer. And I create content like this. I also work one-on-one with people, and from time to time organize some workshops, whether it's online or in person. I also have a book you can check out in the description box. Also, you can learn a little bit more about me in one of the blog posts. Is the first thing that's pinned down, where you can see what I've been up to over the last 25 years in developing myself into doing what I do today. So yes, click subscribe, like, all the good things to support the channel if you like this. And leave me a comment. That's probably the most valuable thing for me in this stage, because I'm learning and sensing what are you guys interested in, and what you have currently at this moment that you would like me to be of assistance with, or to shine a little more light to, or to give you just a different perspective. Okay, so thank you again for being here. Let's go. Are you worshiping non-physical? Are you putting it non-physical to a pedestal? Do you just say in words that everything is non-physical, that you're non-physical embodied, meaning that you're God embodied, that you're source embodied, that you are universe embodied, but acting as if there is the gap, and as if that you are a little bit less than sometimes? Take a look at this for a second. This has been very interesting since Armand and I started going to Abraham Hicks workshops. In the beginning, we were just, like wooed. And then we started noticing how so many of people that we were interacting with were just exchanging the word source, the word God, with the word source. Meaning the step up from being in a strict, rigid religion was just changing the name. But the relationship with source, universe, God, whichever terminology you want to use, was still the same. And then through our own experience, especially over the last 2-3 years since our son was born, we've been having so much more calling to really step into not only knowing it intellectually, but actually living from inside out. And I'm going to speak about this in just a moment. Um, the first, the way I see just all of us on this opening up, awakening, enlightenment journey, whichever way again you want to call it, is that we're just not aware. We start as not being aware how things are operating, and then whether we have too much contrast or too much resistance, and that kicks us into something, or we just stumble upon through happily ever after living into kind of awareness of the mechanism behind how everything is working. um, that's the time when we open ourselves up and we become aware, hey, there is more to me than just being physical. There is more to me than my body and my mind. And then we start exploring that, and it feels really good. And especially when we get into the world of manifestation and the world of deliberately creating and being on purpose creator and being aware of things, right? But it still feels like that source, God, non-physical, guardian angels, whichever, again, terminology you want to use, that's a little bit outside of us. And so it's kind of like you have a helper and things are working, but we still feel that gap. And sometimes I can feel that can turn into a little bit of this like worshiping moment. What and how do I measure that? I just want to also bring this up to the surface here. Can you do all of that without, for example, reading the content, without going to the workshop, without going to a channeler, without meditating, without having all of those extra things around you. And I'm not saying don't use them, but to be really honest, do you have this feeling of necessity in order to be able to be aware who you are? Or it has already settled nicely in your body. And so when it really settles in the body, everything that once was like outside in starts coming in more from inside out. And that part that we're going through is, I feel like we all go through this phase of having a bubble where we create a lot of, we start using a lot of different tools in order to be able to feel what it feels like to have inside out, inside out, inside out. But then there is this, again, this slippery slope that can feel sometimes like, I know it felt with me, I at some point became very addicted to meditating and doing yoga. Those were my things. And at some point I was like, well, I don't want to be addicted to this. I do not want to need to have and to do some things in order to be able to feel that I'm God embodied. And so this was, now I see it, my moments of not wanting to worship anything or anyone anymore, not wanting to feel anymore this, if I go and say, hey, come help, this is happening, or if I, that I need to go into this like sacred container space of, in order to receive what I want to receive. I just wanted to live, and for that to start happening by me directing my attention. Yes? And now I know a lot of you have heard this, that, you know, it's not necessary, but I can tune into this just for a second and see, are you feeling that if you don't do certain things, you're not going to get them? And does that make you feel just a tiny bit like less than? And if it is, it's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Just sit with it for a second. Where are you? You're for sure not completely unaware if you're listening this far into this video. Do you see the distance? Is non-physical a helper that you need to use some condition to connect to so you can receive? Are you already feeling like it's more of this inside job, but you still feel like you're in a bubble, meaning you have to have a lot of conditions? Or do you feel like you can just walk through life and ripple out that confidence? I'm going to make a video about the confidence too. I got inspired by another comment, an email of somebody who has been really enjoying my videos recently, one of you guys. Where are you? Wherever you're at, it's okay. Are you aware of the roles of non-physical and your role? So I'll allow you just for a second now for all of this that you have going on, because this could have stirred up some things, and that's totally fine. We're not digging, we're just letting some of these things to come up to the surface. If you're annoyed, that's totally fine. If you're at peace, that's totally fine. If you're like, why is he talking about this? That's totally fine. But when you get to this perspective, not perspective, when you get to this embodiment, and you know your role, and you know the role of non-physical, it feels click, yeah? And none of those things that you've passed before are bothering you. So I just want you to sit there for another second. Are you aware that non-physical role is to always get you, or to provide for you unlimited possibilities? Yes. But are you aware also that you're the one directing all of that? And are you aware that from your physical perspective, where you're at right now, there is also no limits, even though you have very unique perspective? I want you to sense this feeling of equals with the purely non-physical. Everybody doing their job. You're not here only to expand the universe. You're here also to be actively creating it, enjoying it, being in the process here. And that includes variety of things, variety of emotions, variety of experiences. How good is to know that? Without you, there's no expansion. But also, without you, there is no reconfiguration of non-physical. You're doing it right now. You're upgrading non-physical as you're living, breathing. Non-physical is getting new information because you're up here, changing things up, upgrading even universal laws. You get to do that from here too. So I also want for a second to talk to the programming of your analytical mind before we wrap this up. As sometimes when you get excited about the possibilities and probabilities, you may go on a wild goose chase, thinking that there will never be contrast or resistance again. And that's totally fine. It's just your analytics trying to give you the carrot you can never catch, so you go back to the old programming because you've programmed it that way to support you, to protect you at some earliest times. And so we're just going to sit here and open up for the possibilities of feeling one with everything that exists and feeling equal to the purely non-physical. Nothing less, nothing more, just same substance playing a different role. Good. How did that feel? Thank you so much for inspiring this video and for everything else that's coming. I love you. Thank you for being here.